So if you've been thinking about delving into the world of sourdough but have felt like it's just feels intimidating and overwhelming and aren't sure where to get started with it, we have totally felt that before. And so we are going to share the way that our family does sourdough in a way that is super simple, super hands-off, super just really basic. And it works so well for our family. Okay, so we delved into the world of sourdough about 6 years ago. And so our daughter was an infant, and I just started researching and looking into sourdough, and I wanted to start incorporating it into our world. But I was really intimidated about how to get started, and it seemed kind of overwhelming because I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to keep this starter on my counter all the time and feed it constantly and make things constantly. And I don't know that I really want to do that. I don't know that I really have time in my world to do that. And so how am I going to do sourdough in a way that really works well for our family? And that is kind of how we developed this batch cooking once a month sourdough method. And so one thing that I didn't necessarily realize right at the beginning was that your sourdough starter doesn't need to be on your counter all the time. You can actually put your sourdough starter in the fridge when you're not using it. And so if you have a nice active sourdough starter, it will do fine in the fridge, just kind of hanging out there for a month between uses without dying or anything to happen.
To feed it even,
no, you just leave it in the fridge, and then when you take it out to use it, you'll definitely want to feed it 3 times or so to get it active and nice and bubbly. But in the meantime, when you're not using it, keep it in the fridge. And so we keep ours in the fridge, and then when we want to use it, we pull our sourdough starter out and we make all the things that we want to do for the month in one batch sourdough cooking session. And so we set aside like a half day. So we feed our starter so it's nice and bubbly and active, and we get a whole bunch of it. And then we make all the things that we want to make in one kind of batch cooking session.
Yeah, and we grind all the wheat too by hand. We kind of went old school with it. We got like this hand crank mill, and so that's another reason why. I mean, it's just a slow process. It probably takes us at least an hour or more even to grind all the wheat, and so we just don't have time to fit all that.
I didn't want to be doing that like every day,
every couple days or whatever. And so so that was another big part of it. But so what we make in our batch sourdough monthly sessions is we kind of have 2 staples that we make. One is just bread. We make 2 loaves of bread. And so usually we'll have some of one of the loaves fresh with a meal, and the rest we slice up and we put in like a Ziploc bag and we store it in the freezer. And so then we just have bread for the next few weeks that we pull out as needed, and we're not like having it a ton, obviously, because it's only 2 loaves, but we stretch that. We have some grilled cheese and some sandwiches here and there throughout the next month. And just have it occasionally. And then the other staple thing that we make is our sourdough deep dish pizza crust. And so we do a weekly family deep dish pizza night. And so we'll have one of those fresh, and we'll actually make four loaves or 4 balls of dough that we make into a pizza crust. And so we'll stretch those out throughout the month as well. We'll have one fresh, and then we'll freeze the rest of those for the rest of the month too.
Yeah. And then with the rest of the sourdough starter, I'll usually just do fun different things every month. And so, some months it's tortillas, other months I do pancakes because those are super easy. I've done biscuits, or this past month I did scones and chocolate chip cookies that I froze the dough in the freezer. And so I just kind of play around with it depending on what I'm feeling like. But this works so well for us, where it feels like we get to enjoy the fun deliciousness that is sourdough and incorporate that into our regular rhythms and routines without it feeling like this really overwhelming thing that we do every day. And so, like Jim said, we by making 2 loaves of bread for like a 4-week time span, we're not going to be eating sourdough bread every day, but we get to have it every now and again as kind of a special treat thing or a sandwich for fun or something different that everyone really looks forward to and enjoys. And kind of the same with our weekly pizza that we make. It becomes this really fun, special thing that we do once a week, as opposed to being this thing that we do all the time or have available all the time. And so I also really love this from just kind of, it aligns with my kind of nutritional beliefs and balances. And so I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I just love nutrition and nourishing my family and nourishing our bodies. And I think sourdough can be a really awesome, nourishing, healthy food. But for me, it was just important that we ate it in a balanced way. And so I think Jim and I would both say, like, when we have sourdough, it's so delicious and really good that it can really easily become like the main part of your meal. And if it was available every meal, it would probably become like the main part of my meal every meal. And that's just not personally what I wanted for our family. And so I wanted to really make sure we were emphasizing really healthy meats and fruits and vegetables as kind of the main thing. And then sourdough really fit in nice as more of an occasional thing to go along with that, but not kind of the main staple of our diet. And so it just really fits in well as a really delicious, really nutritious complement to the meats and the fruits and vegetables that we get in our diet. And so that kind of works well for us, and just in terms of the quantity of sourdough things that we're making to do that one batch cooking session, to have it in our world, but not have it as kind of the main staple in our world. So it's just an appropriate quantity.
Even that, like, that batch cooking day, monthly cooking or baking day itself is like an event for the family. We all look forward to it. The kids love it.
They shape their own little loaves.
Yeah, there's just a lot of excitement around it. And so it's just like anything, when you don't have something like available to you every day, then it becomes something special and a treat. And that's sort of what these batch sourdough sessions have become for us. The event is fun, and then we all love bread and eating.
When we get to
the deliciousness that comes
pull it out of the freezer and we have it, everyone gets super excited about it. And so we just wanted to share this as a way, if you're intimidated by sourdough or not sure where to get started, or think it just sounds kind of overwhelming or might not fit in with your world, to just consider maybe the ways that you can batch cook sourdough or freeze it and use it in different ways to maybe make it fit in part of your world if that's something that you wanted to do. And it's going to be totally different depending on the needs of your family versus our family. And even as our family grows and gets older, so our kids are pretty young right now, but they already are starting to eat more and more and more. And so as our family grows and get older, like, I don't know, we might need to start making more things when we do our bulk cooking days, or we maybe need to start doing it twice a month instead of once a month. Like, we're just going to have to see based on the needs of our family, and everyone is going to be different. But yeah, you just need to make the things that you like to make at the frequency that works for you. But just know that there are other options to have it sitting on your counter and making things all the time. You can make a whole bunch of things at once, freeze them, put your sourdough starter in the fridge, and move on with your life, and not let that be something that is overwhelming or intimidating. And so we love sourdough. We love our sourdough days and incorporating it that day, that way. And like I said, our sourdough deep dish pizza is the best. And if you're gonna make one sourdough thing, that is the thing we would highly recommend. So we'll link up to that video and that recipe next, and we'll see you over in that one.